came to this new country to succeed. But what if it is your own brain what is holding you back? Good day, my wonderful and successful international students. I am very happy to see you today. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is invisible because it happens in our brains, and it usually happens in an unconscious way. But this is very powerful. This is something that is actually influencing your decisions every single day while you are studying abroad. And most of us international students don't even know that this is happening. So this is the scenario, okay? Try to picture this situation. You're in a classroom, you know you can raise your hand because you do know the answer. However, you decide not to raise your hand. Or another example, you want to start a conversation when you're in a new group of friends, but you decide to stay quiet, to keep quiet. Or for example, you want to try something new in this new country in which you are now, but you decide not to. You decide and you choose to just feel safe, to not do anything that might seem too new for you. But later, after all these situations, you can't help thinking, why didn't I just do it? Why didn't I just raise my hand? Why didn't I just try this new thing that I have never tried? Or why didn't I just start my conversation saying something with this new group of friends? And this happens not because you're shy, not because you're weak, and not because you're not capable, of course. It's because your brain is running in a protection system. And sometimes our brains are going to protect us way too much when we are living abroad and when we are experiencing new journeys, new situations in a new different country. Now, psychologists call this loss aversion. And today in this episode, I am going to show you what this is. I'm going to show you how this shows in our life abroad as international students. But I am also going to give you 3 practical ways to recalibrate your mindset so you can actually thrive and not only survive during your experience abroad. Okay? So let's start first by understanding where this is coming from. As I tell you in every episode, it is very important that we understand where all these things that are happening to us are coming from. If we understand where this is coming from, then it's going to be easier for us to apply the strategies, the tools, and all those tips that we give you in channels like this or in any other channel out there in which they usually give you ideas about how you can become a better international student. So let's understand this first. In the 1970s, there were 2 psychologists, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, and they discovered something very interesting about how we humans make decisions. They found actually that humans are always going to feel the losses stronger in a more emotional way than when we gain something or when we actually win something. This means losing $20 hurts much more than how maybe finding $20 is going to feel good, okay? So this means that the pain of loss is about twice as strong as the pleasure of gain. It's actually 2.5 times more. So what this means is that in our brain, if there is a small threat that something may happen when you do something, you're going to see the consequences 2.5 times bigger, stronger, worse than that gain that you may obtain from doing something that is new for you. Now, why is this important then for us as international students? Because when we move abroad, absolutely everything is going to feel uncertain. We are in a new culture. We're speaking a new language. We are actually now studying in a new academic system. We are trying to learn new academic rules. And our brains are going to start scanning from danger. Everything seems dangerous just because everything seems unfamiliar. So usually our brain unconsciously is going to start asking, wait a minute, what could I lose if I raise my hand? What could I lose if I start a conversation? What could I lose? And then your brain exaggerates. Maybe I would lose my dignity. Maybe I would lose my identity. Maybe I would lose my confidence. Or maybe I would even lose my family's expectations if I fail. And because loss feels so painful, our brain is going to tell us, you know what? Better don't risk it. Keep quiet. Don't raise your hand. Don't speak up. Don't say anything. Don't do anything that feels new. Don't do anything that you have never done before. Why? Because it feels dangerous. It feels like we're in a threat. This is a threat, so let's avoid it. And that is how the loss aversion trap begins for international students. It's doing this, of course, to keep you safe. But the problem with this situation is that your brain, at the same time that is trying to keep you safe, also keeping you small. Yes? Let's look at this and how this usually shows in international students. Example number 1. You are in class, the professor asks a question, and you know the answer, but your hand stays down. Why? Because your brain is thinking, what if we're wrong? What if I'm going to feel embarrassed? What if I speak and my accent is not perfect? What if I look like I'm not very intelligent? And for many of you, this is even deeper. If I fail here in this new country, I'm also going to fail my family back home. I'm going to fail all the hopes that all my friends and family put when I left my native country. So that possible loss, even if it's very slight, that is usually going to feel bigger than the possible reward of participating in class, of raising your hands, of asking a question. So you decide to wait. And you usually tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to speak when I feel more confident. I'm going to raise my hand when I raise more confident. But here's the truth. Confidence does not come from action. It's actually the other way around. Confidence comes after action. So the students who grow the most when they are in their study abroad experiences are not the ones who felt ready. You know who are the most successful international students when they are abroad? They are the ones who spoke while they felt nervous and then realized, you know what? Nothing terrible happened. I did raise my hand, I asked my question, and nothing happened. Or maybe even if I made a question, you know what? I survived. So what? The second way this loss aversion shows is also in your social life as an international student. You mostly spend time with people from your own country when you are abroad because we want to feel safe and it feels easy and it feels like home when we're surrounded by people from our same country. But your brain is going to calculate. Approaching locals or approaching domestic students here may equal possible rejection. And staying with people we know equals zero risk. So your brain is going to choose comfort. But here is what your brain forgets to calculate. The loss of opportunity. The loss of maybe building a network in your new country and maybe building this network that in the future will help you professionally. The loss of understanding this culture deeply is also the loss of professional connections that will help you in the future. But suddenly, because you decided to wait, one semester passes, a whole year passes, and then you realize that maybe you were physically in a new country, but guess what? The truth is, it's like you never left, right? This is usually what happens. Because you were always surrounded by people from your own country, it's almost like you never left. And you just missed so many opportunities to get to know people from this new country just because your brain chose to keep you safe. Now, there's a third way in which this shows. some international students worry, if I adapt too much to this new country, will I lose who I am? Or if I change too much, am I also betraying my own culture? Am I betraying my family? So your brain is going to see adaptation to a new culture as a threat to your identity, as a threat to your culture, as a threat to your family, right? And identity feels sacred, of course, especially when you're carrying your family's hopes with you. Your brain is going to protect you. When you get to know a new culture, your identity is going to grow. So you're not replacing who you are by choosing to actually get involved with your new culture, get involved with the new people in this new country. You are actually expanding who you are. Every new perspective that you have now, every new behavior, every new cultural skill is not a subtraction of who you are. It is an addition to who you are becoming, right? And now that we have understood how the loss aversion feels in international students' lives, we have to talk about recalibration. Because as I said at the beginning, the good news is that we can recalibrate our brains. And the first step to recalibrating is understanding why this is happening. So it is because our brain is trying to keep us safe, yes, but also understanding how in our international student experience, this loss aversion shows. So now that we have understood that, now we can talk about strategies to recalibrate. And here are 3 clear actions that you can start doing this week, not next month, start right away, okay? The first strategy to recalibrate our brains against the loss aversion trap is the 10-second rule. And here I'm going to give you an example for a 10-second rule. The next time you are in class and you feel the impulse to speak, your brain is automatically going to tell you no, okay? The strategy, the homework that I gave you, try to be aware first. Awareness is the first step. When you're in the classroom, you hear a question from your teacher, your brain immediately going to tell you, nope, it's risky, there's threat. So be aware. But then count slowly to 10 in your mind. And in those 10 seconds, ask yourself, what is the real worst case scenario that can happen if I raise my hand? Usually the answer is, well, I might be wrong. Well, maybe my question may not be the right question, or maybe my answer may not be the right answer. Okay, that is fine. And so what? If your answer is not the right answer, if your question is not the right question, you are still doing something important. You're taking steps ahead in your learning journey. Failure, unfortunately, in many cultures is seen as something really, really, really bad. In Western cultures, we actually see mistakes as the only way to learning. That's the only way we learn. We need to make mistakes to learn, and trial error is usually one of the best ways to learn. So what happened at the end? At the end, what happened is that you learn. And here is your action step. This week, speak at least 1 time per class. Even if your voice is shaking, even if your accent is not perfect, just try it once. Small actions are going to bring rewiring to our mindset, and that's how we're going to start recalibrating our mindset and our minds into not falling to the loss aversion trap. Now, the second strategy to recalibrate our mindset against loss aversion is the 3-to-1 social rule. And this has to do with how we socialize. It is very important, of course, that you keep your friends in your circle from your native country, of course. These are your friends and they really matter, but we need to add structure. So the rule says, for every time that you socialize inside your cultural group, commit to at least having one activity outside of your social group that exposes you to socialize with locals, with domestic students, or with other international students from other countries that you may not actually be friends with. So next time, maybe sit in class next to someone you have never sat next to before. Attend maybe a campus event. As I already told you, usually universities organize a lot of events for people to socialize with different people. Join maybe a club meeting, start a small conversation with someone you have never talked to. So this is about having one intentional exposure per week. And also put it in your calendar, write it down, make it measurable, right? Exposure is going to build familiarity, and familiarity is going to reduce fear. Got it? Now, what is the third strategy? The third one is the identity expansion journal. So this means instead of asking yourself, what am I losing if I start doing things that I have never done before? Start asking yourself, who am I becoming? What am I becoming? So every Sunday night, write down 3 things. Maybe one new behavior that you're going to try. One new idea that maybe you're going to learn. Maybe one way you're going to try to handle something in a different way as compared on how you used to do these things maybe back home. This becomes also a proof of growth. When you see this written down, your brain relaxes. Your brain is going to start understanding, okay, I'm not disappearing. I'm just evolving. I'm becoming someone better. I'm becoming someone new because I'm adopting new perspectives, new behaviors, and that is making me a more complete person. Remember, studying abroad is not meant to feel comfortable all the time. And you have to make peace with the fact that you will not be the same person when you finish your study abroad experience. Why? Because you're growing. And growth feels uncomfortable. Transformation is going to feel uncomfortable. But that discomfort, it's not a sign of danger. It's not a warning sign. That is usually a growth sign. And your brain will continue trying to protect you all the time. That is normal. But you can thank your brain. Thank you, brain, because you are trying to help me. But then gently choose growth anyway. Okay? Very good. Now, share with us in the comments, where do you see loss aversion showing up in your class? Maybe in your life, in your friendships, maybe in how you adapt. So share in the comments and let's talk about it. You're not alone in this journey. And I am sure whatever experience you can share is going to help other students in many different parts of the world who may be going through the same struggles that maybe you went through. And I am sure that your comments are going to be able to help other students around the world. Okay? Now, if you believe this episode gave you some clarity, please like this video. You know that is going to help reach other international students, of course. Or if you happen to know other international students who may be interested in this topic, also share this video with them. Subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming episodes. And finally, remember, this whole journey, it is not only about studying abroad. This is about thriving abroad. And you know that I believe in you. You've got this. And I will see you in our next episode. Ciao.